What's up, my dudes? Welcome back to RetroSupply, home of brushes, textures, and that specific smell of burning toner fluid. Today we're going to talk about the aesthetic of corporate despair. You know that look? That grainy, high contrast, I just photocopied my gig poster at the local library look? It's grimy, it's nostalgic, and usually to get that look digitally, you'll have to do about 50 steps involving threshold layers and crying. But we just dropped a new pack called COPYCULT for Photoshop, Procreate, and Affinity that can give you this look almost instantly. So today I'm going to show you how to take that squeaky clean illustration and absolutely wreck it, in a good way. We're going to roleplay as a broken photocopier, manually smearing ink on the page and then stripping it away. And best of all, I'm going to teach you my secret sauce. It's a specific and slightly illegal formula of Photoshop smart filters that I stack at the very end to glue it all together. By the time we're done, this won't look like digital art. It's gonna look like a cursed artifact found in the break room of a haunted office building. So buckle up, friends. We're going to the copy room. First, let's look at the loot. What are you actually getting with this pack? First up, we got a bunch of zine-inspired inking brushes, which we so cleverly named the Zinkers. These aren't your pretty, smooth calligraphy brushes. These are gritty, they bleed. And then you got the meat and potatoes. A few paper textures, the COPYCULT stamp brushes themselves, and the textures and overlays. Every brush and texture was created using real-world copy machines. We scanned, smeared, and abused these machines to extract that authentic Xerox grit. There's also a reference guide included, which is great because my brain is as smooth as a chicken breast and I need pictures to tell me which brush does what. Alright, we need something to destroy. Now, even though I'm going to do most of the stuff in COPYCULT on Photoshop, I'm starting in Procreate because I like drawing while rotting on the couch. You can do this part in Photoshop if you want. I'm not your dad. That guy went out for a pack of cigarettes 3 years ago and never came back. The first rule of Fight Club: never draw on a stark white background. It hurts your eyes and it scares the creativity away. I'm dropping in a paper texture from the pack right at the start. It just helps the vibe. For my subject today, I'm going with a theme I like to call corporate cursed. Think The Office meets The Ring. This old geezer is making a deal with the devil. You know, just your average American capitalism. Now, I don't just start drawing perfect lines immediately. That's a lie that Instagram tells you. I start with a thumbnail so I can focus on general shapes and composition. And then I scale it up, start a new layer, and begin to draw a super rough construction sketch. And I mean rough. This thing looks like a toddler drew a couple stick figures in an earthquake. I'm just flailing around the canvas trying to find the gesture and the flow of the pose. No details yet, just vibes. Once I have that mess, I lower the opacity and do a rough blocking out sketch on top. This is where we put the meat on the bones. I'm figuring out proportions and making sure it makes sense in 3D space. It's still messy, but it's a controlled mess. And then I do one more pass, the clean sketch. I lower the opacity again and actually draw the details now on a new layer. This is where I figure out the specifics and start planning my shadow areas. You want to solve all your design problems here in the pencil stage, so you aren't panic sweating when you try to ink it later. Speaking of inking, I'm using the dead felt brush for the border. This thing is a rough monoliner and it's super consistent, perfect for graphic elements or background shapes. For the characters, I'm switching over to the Daily Driver brush because it has this nice taper and it feels super natural. And for shading, I'm using a big soft airbrush. Just kidding, we don't do that here. I'm not even going to sweat about shading. The line work does most of that for me. But I am going to add a new layer of the halftones that come with the pack. It gives that cheap, mass-printed newspaper look. We want this to look like it was printed on a budget of $0 and a dream. Alright, moving over to Photoshop, the cockpit of chaos. This is where the magic starts to happen. This pack comes with these insane high-res scans of toner textures. I'm going to grab the reference guide real quick and do a little perusing. Right now I'm kind of just looking for one that catches my eye and has the right level of grime that I'm looking for. Yep, let's grab this nasty one. I'm dragging this overlay right on top of the drawing, but underneath the paper texture. Now currently, it just looks like I covered my drawing with a dirty windshield, so we gotta mess with the blending modes. Multiply is your best friend here. It makes the white transparent and keeps the darks. Screen does the opposite. It keeps the white but drops the darks. Overlay, well, it's kinda chaotic neutral. It does a bit of both. Once I have the first layer of grime figured out, I'm gonna find one that will strip some of that ink away. And here's a pro tip, the invert trick. Take one of the scans and hit Command I, or Control I if you're a PC guy, I don't judge. It inverts the colors. Boom. You have white noise and scratches instead of black ones. I usually like to make a group of 1 to 3 additive textures set to multiply to add grime, and one group of 1 to 3 subtractive textures set to screen or overlay to add texture and break up the lines. I find that much like that little known 1977 film, The Star Wars, adding texture overlays is a bit of a battle between light and dark. I'm constantly tweaking things as I go. Experiment with opacities and blending modes to find the look that's right for your piece. This whole step is kind of like a sandwich, a big grimy sandwich. Now it's time to start playing with the stamp brushes. We're going to be adding ink where it shouldn't be. Think smears, toner leaks, and splotches. Make a new layer. I'm calling this one additive because I'm super creative. Grab a stamp brush. Make sure your color is pure black and set the layer to multiply. Now don't just spam click like you're playing cookie clicker. What I'm doing might look chaotic, but there's a rhyme and reason, I promise. You gotta roleplay as a broken copier from 1993. You gotta think like a photocopier. You gotta be the photocopier. The paper moves in one direction, usually up or down through the rollers. So if you want to add a smear, make sure the direction makes sense. If the paper is moving up, the smear should drag vertically. Also think about the physics of the toner. It's basically hot, melted plastic dust. Where would it start to pool? I'm looking at the guide, and let's grab a heavy edge smear. Generally, areas with heavy black ink in your drawing are more likely to smear because there's just more stuff on the page to get messed up. So I'm placing these stamps near the dark parts of the illustration. It implies that the ink was wet, the roller grabbed it, and dragged it across. I'm also throwing in some stray toner specks in the corner. It implies that the machine has been neglected, just like my sleep schedule. It adds that layer of carelessness we're looking for. It's messy, and I love it. Now this is the opposite mindset of what we just did. We aren't adding dirt, we're stripping the image away. We're simulating the struggle of this machine. So make a new layer and grab a pure white brush. Now ask yourself, where would the ink be the weakest? The answer is usually in the large, flat black areas. It's kind of hard for a cheap photocopier to lay down a solid, consistent wall of black. It almost always breaks up. So I'm going to use some of these subtle noise stamps to attack those inks. I'm looking for the big blocks of shadow. I want to eat away at them. If the blacks are too solid, it looks too digital. How damaged you want to make this is totally up to you. You can go full found in a dumpster behind Taco Bell, or just sat in the sun on a dashboard for a couple hours. Personally, I'm going for this document has been cursed by a warlock and photocopied in a dimension without hope, so I'm going a little heavy. Alright, stop what you're doing, put the coffee down. This is the secret sauce. This is that specific combination of filters that takes this from cool drawing with textures to, wait, is this real? First, select all of your drawing layers. Your lines, your halftones, your white background layer, everything. Except for your overlays, your stamps, and your paper textures. Leave those be. Go to the top to filters and select convert for smart filters. This is crucial. If you don't do this, you can't go back and edit your layers later, and you'll probably cry. You'll now see all of your layers have become one, but don't worry, they're not permanently merged. If you click on them, it'll open a new Photoshop window where you can still make changes. Hit save, and when you return to your main canvas, your piece will be updated. First up is Gaussian blur. Just a tiny bit, 1 to 2%. Why? Because photocopies aren't sharp, they're soft, they're tired, again, like me. Next up is motion blur. Again, keep it low, 1 to 2%. Angle it slightly, maybe 90 or 45 degrees. This simulates the paper moving through the machine. It gives that slight drag. Next up, noise. You want this to look grainy, but not like TV static. Just enough to break up the smooth digital lines. Here's my pro tip for noise. For most pieces, I'll stick to monochromatic noise, but for this photocopy effect, I choose the colored option. Why? Because it gives that kind of oily rainbow effect you get when you look at ink in a certain light or angle. Now the heavy hitter, the stamp effect in the filter gallery. This flattens the colors and gives you those jagged, crusty edges. Play with the light-dark balance until it looks right. It makes it look all thresholded and crunchy. Now ripple. Set this to about 66%. Why 66? I don't know. The Photoshop gods told me. It just works. It gives the edges a little wiggle, like the paper wasn't perfectly flat. Finally, median. Set this to 1 to 5%. It takes your digital pixels and turns them into more organic ink blobs. Look at that difference. Before, clean, digital. After, crunchy, authentic, and haunted. This piece looks like it's been faxed through 3 dimensions and came back a little off. There you have it. That's the COPYCULT workflow that I've been doing. While you watch this thing come to life, here's a quick shout out. If you want to grab the COPYCULT pack for your favorite software, the link is in the description. And honestly, if you need anything to make your digital art look less digital, head over to RetroSupply.co. It's basically the holy land for vintage brushes, textures, and fonts. Support the channel, support the business, support your art, you know the drill. Also, if you're digging these tutorials, hit subscribe on the RetroSupply channel. We're always dropping new ways to make your art look like it's from another decade. Alright, plug's over guys, let's roll the time lapse. And just like that, we turned a clean drawing into a Xeroxed masterpiece, without inhaling any actual toner dust. If you dug this video, do us a solid. Hit the like button and subscribe. It tells the algorithm we exist and lets us keep making these videos. And for all the tools I use, RetroSupply.co is the spot. It's like a candy store for designers, so go stock up. Links are down below. Now go ruin some beautiful art. Happy creating.